beautiful people. Welcome back to my channel. I guess you can call it a podcast. All right, you guys, we're here today to talk about Real Housewives of Atlanta. Look at your girl being consistent. What? Okay, that's what I thought. That's what I thought. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. We would love to have you be part of the beautiful people family. Like the video, it does wonders for my algorithm, analytics, all of that, just all of it. And let's get started, you guys. All right, you guys. So we pick up exactly where we left off in Shamia's beautiful room. And you guys, she has like this white carpet, and I'm looking at them with their shoes on in the carpet, and I felt poor. Like I immediately felt poor because like I have cream carpet, and I just be like, take your shoes off, take your shoes. This lady is running around with white carpet, like for real white carpet. The room is beautiful, and not once did she say, take your goddamn shoes off. So, okay, Shamia, I'm sure probably because she could just replace the carpet with no problem. I mean, I could replace my carpet too, but who wants to do that? Anyway, y'all just get so sidetracked, especially with stuff. Like, I love stuff. Anyway, so we're in this room and we're having this conversation, and it's not what we thought it was going to be, because we originally came to this room to go somewhere quiet because Kelly asked Porsha about why you still that girl's man. But Porsha managed to do the Jedi mind trick and totally deflect, and everything is on Drew now. Listen, I don't care. I don't like Drew. Well, I don't care for her character or whatever that she plays on this. I mean, it's supposed to be her real life. This is reality, right? But yeah, I don't really like Drew, and I wish she wasn't still on this show and I wasn't looking at her. But that aside, she's coming at Drew about the fact that, she didn't know that she and Dennis were working together. And Drew is just like, nah, you do know, because I was trying to get in touch with you, and then I talked to Dennis, and he said he had your blessing. And Portia's like, y'all gotta stop lying on me, like y'all lying to each other. And Shamia had just came out and was just like, listen, are you seeing Drew? I mean, are you dating Dennis or what? And she's like, no, he's like my angel on earth though. And I'm like, that don't sound good, which is exactly what the girl Angela said. She was thinking the same thing. That shit don't sound good. Let me tell you, don't tell me that my co-parent, my daughter's father, is your angel on earth, because number one, I don't want to hear it. Not because I care, but because he's no one's angel. I'm just kidding. I don't dislike him anymore, so it's fine. But like, don't nobody want to hear that shit. Like, seriously, that's not something that you tell somebody, especially if you're trying to say we're not dating. Like, are you kidding me? But anyway, so she goes on about how, and Shamia's saying, oh, they said that you guys were dressed alike and you were holding hands in the club. So we see this picture, and I mean, clearly they weren't dressed alike. So, okay, there's that. Then, Portia's like, yeah, I ended up calling you. So here's what's funny to me, you guys. Porsha never put two and two together and said, why is Dennis inviting me to Drew's party? Like, when did they become so close? When did they become so cool? So something says that she either knew they were working together, or I don't know. This whole thing just sounds a little fishy. So we don't have to keep an eye out on this. Like, because I don't know. We got to see. We got to see what's going on with this for real. There's a lot of holes in this story, big time. And Portia's deflecting like crazy. And they let her get that shit off. Nobody brought it back around. So back to the picture that Porsha said Drew looked really washed, and everybody's like, damn. And she's like, no, she just looked washed out, and, she just looked really stressed. And I know divorce stress. And I called her after that just to make sure she was okay. Okay, that's fine. So then Drew goes into this whole soliloquy about how she, and Ralph and Dennis hung out, and he was helping them, get through whatever they had going on or whatever. And they're really good friends, and he's like a brother, and she would never date him and do that to her. And they were in the studio together, and he made up this song for Porsha, and he cried. And she's like, oh, you guys cried together. Okay. And she's like, I would never do that to you. So when she's done, Portia's like, okay, are you done? And she's like, oh, okay, the posturing. And I'm like, are they putting on for us, you guys? Are they? All right, so we go on to have Porsha in the confessional saying that She doesn't care if they actually talk together. She can kill, marry, fuck him or whatever. She don't care. The point is she's trying to film with him. And that's the big oh my God, because she goes into calling her a low down, dirty individual. And I'm like, oh, they are just really doing a lot. And Drew, of course, you know how Drew is always like, oh my God, what? What did I do? What did I do? And she's like, yeah, you're trying to film with him. And can I break the fourth wall? And the producer's like, break it. And I'm like, this is so dramatic. It's so dramatic, but it's okay. I'm living. It's okay. And she's like, yeah, you've been contacting producers telling them you want to film with my baby daddy. And, why would you want to film with my baby daddy behind my back? And okay. And she's like, and then I'm going to have to deal with my baby daddy. I'm like, it just makes no sense. Then she goes on to, you told the producers that you were setting up a photo shoot for Go Naked Hair for my business. Why would you be setting up a photo shoot for my business? And everybody is looking around like, what the fuck? Like, we've gone from A to Z. We don't even know. It's so many different issues being brought up here. Even Kenya's like, I'm so confused. I'm so confused. And I'm like, and Kenya is never confused because she's usually in the shit and she knows how to keep up. So yeah, this whole fabricated, possibly, allegedly, situation is confusing because they're all over the map. However, Porsha did, once again, a great job at deflecting and had nothing to say about her whole Simon thing or whatever, which I don't care about because I really don't care about her and Simon. I don't give a shit. We all know she did what she did. It was foul. We don't care anymore. So I really don't want to hear about it. I really don't care about. Let me shut up, y'all. I always go on a tangent about how I don't care about none of this. Y'all don't care. Y'all don't want to hear that. But yeah, I don't care about Simon and Porsha. Let's move on. Oh, before we move on, may I just say that Kenya is sitting in there sitting. I'm sorry, she's sitting. Kenya is in there looking beautiful. And she's an OG, and I love it. She is looking amazing. And I want to say she should know some of these young girls, but it's not a competition. It's not. Nobody in there is unattractive, but Kenya, sitting. Yes, ma'am. All right, next up, we're at Charles Oakley's home. It's a really nice house, him and Angela. And we find out that Angela is a financial consultant. She said she, made her millions or whatever. She's a self made millionaire. There's not a penny she doesn't want or a dollar she doesn't want, something she said. But okay, that's her money. So she's not just in it for the money with Charles Oakley. She said that when she met him, it was a long time ago and he never called. He got her number, never called. And then 10 years later, they ended up in the same condo. And that's when they started talking. So they were destined to be together. So they have these kids or whatever. She has a 24-year-old that's having wine with them. And he's in there cooking. And she says he cooks, he cleans, he's like a dream. And I said, he's not. That's not nice. That's not nice. He's a dream to her. And there's nothing wrong with Charles Oakley except I don't like that hair. He's not even unattractive. It's just that hair. But anyway, we move. So she's telling her daughter about how Shamia's home is beautiful and, her husband bought her a Cullinan or whatever. And he's like, yeah, I don't want to hear it. I don't care. And she's also saying how, Drew is working with Portia's ex and, they feel a kind of way about it. And he's like, yeah, you've worked with your ex before. And she's like, no, I haven't. And she's like, oh, okay. Well, and he's like, yeah, there's always a well with some water in it. So we find out, I guess she worked with her ex. Who cares? They end up just saying, she's like, well, you better not ever work with any of these ladies. And he's like, I wouldn't work with any of these lames. And I'm like, that wasn't nice, Charles Oakley. But can I just say, Charles Oakley is putting it down in the kitchen, y'all. He's barbecuing. He's making up some asparagus, some Brussels sprouts, cornbread, the whole nine. I mean, setting it out really nicely. I said, okay, Charles. All right, next we have a scene with Kenya and Porsha going out to lunch, and they look beautiful as usual. They're both pulling up in their Rolls Royces, and at the bottom, I don't know why they had to put it, but what's her name? Kenya came in her Rolls Royce that she purchased in 2022, and Porsha came in her Rolls Royce that Simon purchased for her. I don't know why we needed to know that, but okay. So they sit down and talk about a bunch of nothing, you guys. I mean, really, a bunch of nothing. They talk about the whole Drew and Dennis thing again, briefly, and the fact that she just doesn't want him filming with her because, at any point in time, and this isn't how she put it, but in a roundabout way, at any point in time, things can go bad with the baby daddy, and it's true. Like, y'all can be getting along to fine today, and then tomorrow, any little thing, it would be Petty P and Dennis the Menace again. And I get it. It's true. Unfortunately, it's true. Like, any little thing could set you guys off and set you guys back. And she didn't want him to be on her platform, in quotations, her platform, being able to basically get his shit off. So I guess there could possibly be a scene with him and Drew where he's talking about Porsha and getting his side of the stuff out, if they had some issues. So, I mean, I get it. I get it. I was going to say I get it, but no, I get it. If this is a real situation, I get it. I don't want my co-parent in my space unless he's with me and it's in a controlled environment where I say you come and go. I don't want you there. But anyway, Kenya asked her how she and Simon got to this point. She says that, he read her book and he told her, he read about all her trauma and he told her that he was a safe space. And I'm like, ooh, that sounds a little familiar, no? That don't sound like what Drew was saying that your baby daddy is doing for her. Like, he's the angel on earth. And it sounds like Simon was your angel on earth and he helped you get through it. So she says he was her person, and, at some point they were out of town and they were surrounded by all these policemen and everything. And he was explaining that because he has a green card, he can't have anything on his record. And we come to find out that Simon has been getting arrested and deported since the 80s. So there's that. It's really, I don't understand how Simon is still here on a green card when he has been married so many times. She says it was 5 times. He had a wedding or a marriage that was fake or whatever. But even if he was married 4 real times to people that were, U.S. citizens, why he was not, why he didn't eventually become a U.S. citizen by marriage, I don't understand. I don't really care, though. I don't care. So anyway, she says that, she was out of town. He left the cameras on. Come to find out, he had women in the house. And I was just like, ugh, he had options? He really had options? But basically, that was the gist of the meetup. It was basically just so Porsha can say what she needed to say. Kenya shared absolutely nothing. And I'm really not liking her in this friend of the show role that I know they ended up editing her into because of what happened, to where she's going to end up, being kicked off or whatever, being reprimanded. So I really feel like she filmed more, but they cut it out because, she's going to eventually be gone. And I don't know how I'm going to like the show without her. Like, it actually needs her. All right, next up we have a quick little segment with Kelly, her publicist, and her project manager, because she owns this place called Nana's Chicken and Waffles, and I guess she's expanding. She says she did have another place that her husband ended up closing, and she didn't know. She just received something saying that she needed to be out, and her husband doesn't pay child support. And I'll say this for Kelly, I'm still on the fence as to if I'm feeling her or not. I'm feeling her a little bit more because hearing her story. And I will say, in the first episode, I was impressed and I was very happy about the fact that she was able to gift her daughter these, 14 handbags, and she still had money and had it going on, and finding out that it was her money, because we found out immediately that she was going through a divorce. And usually when you see that, I won't say usually, but a lot of times you see that, and you see that the women, are trying to transition with the man's money. And, things are different and things are changing. And they talk about how, it's a little stressful, it's a little different. But no, she never skipped a beat, apparently, from what we could see. And that's because I guess it was her money. So kudos to her for that. So yeah, she's trying to open this location. They're letting her know that, listen, I don't think we're going to be open at the target date. And she's saying, we can push through. So good for her. All right. Next up is Brit, and her husband, Mike. And you guys, I'm not even trying to be funny. I'm about to say some stuff. And I'm not trying to be mean. I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to go in on anybody's looks. He's not an unattractive guy, however. And, if he has had a stroke or whatever, I feel bad and I'm sorry. But he looks like he had some kind of a stroke, or something's going on with his lips or whatever. However, I don't like her face either. I'm sorry. I don't like her face either. There's something going on with the way she talks and speaks. I don't like it. And then in this, what we're seeing them in the kitchen talking, her hair, you can see where her real hair is separate from the weave, and it's just not flowing together easily. I don't like it. I don't like it, y'all. So we have them anyway. That aside, let's talk about what they're talking about. And, they're talking about, she wants to do all these renovations. He doesn't want to do anymore. He's like, we're not going to get the money back out of it. It's too much. She's like, okay, well, let's just finish it up, do whatever, and then sell it so that I can get my dream home. He's like, okay, well, we'll see what happens. And I don't know, it's just something really funky about them. And I'm just like, is this their real place? There's literally nothing on the counters. There's nothing. It doesn't look lived in. Like, we saw the Oakleys and that looked like a real lived in home. And, he had his name on the basketball court outside and everything. That's their shit. This, however, it's a beautiful home, but I don't know. Is it really theirs? Something about Mike. We'll just say that. So Britt is telling him that once, before they have the baby, the mom needs to move in and sell her home and make something up for her downstairs because we don't want her upstairs. And he's like, nah, nah, I don't want her upstairs. He has a funny voice too, like Dr. G. So she's talking about she wants to do IVF because he has a son already and he wants to have a daughter, and she wants to be able to choose the sex or what. Oh, okay. All right, girl. Okay. So she's claiming the fact that they're going to get not married. They're going to get pregnant this year. And he's just like, yeah, I don't know. We'll see. And the mom is like, okay, let's just go get it. Oh, because the mom comes downstairs because apparently she's there already. I don't know if she lives there, but she's there. She comes down in a robe and everything, and she's going, okay, let's go get in the hot tub. And then she goes, Mike, are you coming? And he's like, nah, nah, I'm not coming. I'm not coming. And Brit is like, no, he's not coming. We're just going to do a girls thing. And I'm like, that's so weird. Why is your mom asking your man if he's coming to the hot tub? And he's like, I don't like the heat. I don't like heat. I don't like. I was just like, this whole thing, let's get out of here. So I was happy that we were done with them. All right, you guys. Next up, we have a very hard section to watch, which was Shamia going to see Shadina. We've heard the name Shadina quite often because she's the one that had the baby. She carried the baby Blaze for Candy. So she had her daughter for her, and she was carrying Shiloh. Shiloh is Shamia's youngest baby who Shadina was carrying. However, come to find out, Shadina had cancer, and it was very aggressive form of cancer. So she had to deliver Shiloh at 32 weeks. So Shiloh has a lot of issues now, medical issues that Shamia is dealing with. And I'll just say a few quick things in terms of Shadina. I'm glad that she's okay because apparently she had a mastectomy, she said, and she has these new boobs. She says she has a whole new body, but kudos to her for being a surrogate for these women, getting this money. She opened her own business, so she did something with the money she invested. She so she has a surrogacy company where she finds, I guess she said her and Dr. Jackie, so maybe it's a code thing, but she finds surrogate women for moms that are trying. So kudos to Shadina. And again, she looks good. She looks healthy. Good for her. She says that it was not due to her being pregnant. So it wasn't like onset gestational cancer. It was, I guess it was already there. And she said, come to find out, it was a good thing because she was going in and getting checked more often than she would if she wasn't pregnant. So they had both been kind of carrying the weight of Shamia wondering if, she was the cause of her getting the cancer, and Shadina saying that she felt like a failure because Shiloh had to come out early. She wasn't able to finish, baking her, and she's come out with, some health problems. So they both end up, kind of saying, no, it wasn't you, no, it wasn't you. And it was like a weight lifted for both of them. And, they're, crying and tearing up, and it was a lot. So then we also find out that Shamia, she said that some people told her, well, that's what you get because you should be carrying your own baby. And apparently she can't. She said, first of all, who would say that? How rude. That's rude as shit. Like, you should be carrying your own baby. That's what you get, your baby. Who says that? Anyway, it's probably internet people. Y'all know internet people. But she said that she can't. She did IVF. She was giving herself like 4 shots in the morning, 4 shots in the evening every day. It was too much. She did become pregnant at one point, and she made it to the hospital, and they told her there were all these people ahead of her when she went to sit back in the wheelchair. There was just blood everywhere, and apparently her tube had ruptured. So she then goes on to say how, it's just hard for Black women to, carry. And, I'm going to leave it, you guys. I'm going to leave it. I'm going to leave it here. All right, sorry guys, that's just a very touchy subject, so we move. But we end this finding out that Shamia has more embryos. She has, I think, 2 girls and 2 boys somewhere, and she's looking for, well, Shadina's looking for another surrogate for her because her husband wants more kids. So nice. Hopefully it works out for her. All right, next we have a scene with Kelly and Britt, and Britt comes over to her house. They talk about Kelly's ex and the fact that, well, first of all, let's get Britt out the way because it's pretty much nothing. They got married during the what the hell was I about to say? They got married during the pandemic, and they got married over Zoom, so they may end up having some sort of reception or something like that. Blah, we don't care. So then we talk about Kelly and the fact that her husband or ex-husband, he stole $500,000 out of the companies, and she said she was in Tulum for a birthday party, and then her accountant called and was like, he took everything out the account, so she had to file lawsuits. She had to call the police and everything, trying to get her money back. She said that, it was kind of a tumultuous marriage, and she did very good at making it look like they were super happy. However, some nights, it got so bad that she would sleep in the closet. So I don't know her, but thank goodness she got away from him. Nobody wants to live like that, and no one should have to go through that. She did say that it ended up getting physical. Good for her for getting out of it, and we move. All right, so next up we have Drew and Angela meeting up to work out. Drew says that Porsha and Shamia has been on a group text for years. So she's hoping that, when Shamia comes, they can be fine. And, and hopefully that Porsha was just pretty much in her feelings and she's going to get over it. So Drew is just pretty much telling Angela how Dennis has been there for her and Ralph, and he was advocating for them to get back together. Then she ends up boo-hooing about the fact that, Ralph is trying to get alimony, get child support. He's trying to get all this shit. And she's like, I'm not trying to, mess with Porsha. I'm just trying to keep my head above water and feed my kids, basically. So she does this whole crying thing. And then we find out that Angela is questioning Shamia and the fact that Shamia was speaking for Porsha. And Shamia comes in, and Angela's like, "Oh, hey, girl, you look good. Look at you." And I'm just like, what were you just saying? Like, literally, what were you just saying? So they start working out. After the workout, they sit down, and then Angela's just like, "Hey, so you're Portia's assistant or something? Because you asked her, was she fucking Dennis?" And she was like, "I didn't ask Shamia. I didn't ask her like that. I didn't use the word effing or anything." And she's like, "Well, pretty much you did." Shamia's like, "Yo, you're coming in hot, okay? Like, calm your ass down." Because Shamia's not new to this, you guys. She's a new peach holder. However, we know that Shamia has been here for many, many years. Many, many years, and she is shining right now. You can, like, it's all about Shamia. When I tell you I open YouTube and all I see is Shamia, and I'm not mad at it because Shamia's a party girl, Shamia's a fun girl, and it looks genuine. Right now, Shamia looks like herself. You know what I mean? Like a very genuine Shamia. And I'm hoping that being on this show does not change her into something else. So stay yourself. But anyway, she's just like, "Yo, you're coming in hot." Now, I'm not coming in hot. I'm just saying, you were speaking for Porsha. She was like, "I was asking for me because of the rumors that were going around." No, you were speaking for Porsha. And I'm like, "Bitch, and you're speaking for Drew. What the fuck? Like, who are you?" And she's like, "I'm almost 60. I thought she said 60. I think maybe she said I'm almost 6 feet. I don't know. Who cares how tall you are? But she also looks like she could be almost 60. So there's that. But, they end up getting into it about the whole thing with Dennis and, Shamia saying something about it. It's none of your business, sis. Shamia's like, "I'm talking to Drew. I'm talking to Drew." So Drew's just like, "I just want us to move on." Then she goes into the confessional and says that Shamia is the definition of a lap dog. And I'm like, you didn't say that when she was just there. I mean, she was just there, and you were just saying how you wanted to move on. Drew is full of shit, okay? Drew is full of shit, and that's why I don't know why she's still here, but whatever. So that's the end of that. Shamia's like, "Listen," she tells the trainer, "I'll see you again, never." And I'm like, yeah, she's not hanging out with Drew and this big broad no more. All right, so we wrap it up with Portia and Dennis and the baby meeting up. So at one of those little play places or whatever. And what is it, Pilar? That's her baby's name, right? She's getting so tall. But Dennis comes in and Portia's just like, "You and Drew, what's up with that?" Excuse me. He's like, "Nothing. It's not, we're just working together." And she's like, "Well, that's not what she's saying. That's not what she's telling the group. I know what she's doing. Like, she's fucking with him, trying to see if he'll come clean about something." So she's kind of lying and she's kind of not. She's like, "Yeah, she said you're her Jesus, Lord and Savior." And then we get a flashback of Drew saying he's my angel on earth. So half of it is true, but she's putting 20 on 10, shout out to Rocks, because she's saying, like, this is not what Drew is saying. She's trying to make it seem like Drew is saying they're messing around to see if he will admit it. He's like, "Nah, it's nothing like that. Listen, I told Ralph too, I would never fuck with your woman. It's nothing like that. We're doing music." She's like, "Okay, that's fine. However, she's trying to get you to come on my platform and film with her." And he says she's trying to promote music. She gets upset. She walks away. She starts crying. She goes in the bathroom and she's just like, she said exactly what I said earlier, that yeah, if we get into it or whatever, he now has a way to use my platform against me. So basically, like I said, if they get into it, he films with Drew, he's able to tell his side of what's going on, and she doesn't want that. That's her platform. She doesn't want him on it. And the producer's just like, "Well, have you explained that to him?" And she's like, "No, he's not worth my tears. He's not going to see my tears." And I understand that, because when I tell you guys, I refused in all of my child's life to cry in front of the co-parent. Like, I would not give him that. He would piss me off so bad that I would leave and go cry, get off the phone and go cry, because I was so pissed off. But I would never, never, never cry to him. I just did it the first time, maybe a year or so ago, and that was some grown up shit. Like, she was in some serious grown up shit. And yeah, so I was mainly crying for her, but it was, to him, and he was able to witness it. And yeah, it affected him because he had never seen that. So I understand what Portia's saying. No, you don't get that. Like, you don't get that. So we end up, having them in the car, and he's like, she's talking to him like, well, you know what, if you film with her, and she's kind of saying some shit, and he's like, well, we're still mic'd, so it's a hot mic. She's like, oh, okay, you're a whole pro at this now, right? Like, this is what you do. And so she's just kind of threatening him, like, yeah, if you film with her, it's going to be a problem. I'm going to know how you do and everything. She's cursing up a storm with her kid in the back seat. And I ain't do that, y'all. I did not allow cursing around my baby, even though I get my shit off now a whole lot. Not around my baby, but yeah, that's how we end the episode, with her driving off, kind of threatening him about being on camera with Drew. So I don't know. It seems like there's nothing really going on. But like I said, Drew was talking about him the same way Porsha was talking about Simon. And sometimes it be like that. Like, the person who you are crying on their shoulder, it ends up becoming something. You don't have that, you don't want for it to be something. You don't set out for it to be something, but you all are there. You're vulnerable. It happens. I wouldn't put it past any of them. So there's that. But that's the end of the episode, you guys. And it was pretty good. And I will say I was entertained, because when it was over, I was like, oh shit, it's over already? So yeah, clearly I was entertained. I was into it more than actually the first episode. I don't know why. But looks like the next episode is going to be good too. So we'll be there for that. If you are new to the channel, first of all, if you're still here, you are the real MVP. I appreciate you. Yay, you. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I need subscribers. We're trying to get to 1,000. Let's make it happen. It is nothing to you, just a click of the button, absolutely free, no big deal. So let's make it happen. And I'll see you guys in the next video. I do think I'm going to do Married to Medicine, because I just want to give my opinion. I don't think I'm going to do a play-by-play, because this episode was not great. However, I do want to get my shit off about these women and these situations that's going on. So we'll talk about it. But again, please consider liking, subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Smooches.